Have you ever found yourself buying something you didn't need just because the salesperson was friendly and persuasive? Do you often make purchases based on what the majority prefers? Have you ever felt envious of a friend? Do you struggle to choose when faced with many options? If your answer is yes, then you are like many others. You are caught in the trap of flawed thinking. In this summary of The Art of Thinking Clearly, you will discover why people fail to think clearly and how to avoid these mental pitfalls. You will learn about cognitive biases and mental shortcuts, their benefits and their drawbacks. This summary will help you become more logical and make better decisions. Stay with us until the end of this audiobook summary to uncover the secrets of clear thinking. By doing so, you'll equip yourself with tools to enhance your decision-making skills and lead a more rational life. And while you're here, be sure to check out other summaries on our channel where we provide free summaries of a wide range of books. Let's dive in and explore how to think more clearly. The Black Swan. For centuries, people believed that swans were only white. No one had ever seen a swan of any other color. Therefore, it was universally accepted that swans could only be white. However, in 1697, an explorer named Willem de Vlaming discovered black swans in Australia. Since then, the term black swan has come to symbolize a rare, impossible, unpredictable, and astonishing event. Statistician and essayist Nassim Nicholas Taleb elaborates on this concept in his book, The Black Swan. Let's look at an example. Every day, the Dow Jones Index fluctuates slightly up or down. Investors aren't usually affected by these small changes in the stock market. However, on October 19, 1987, the market experienced a sudden 22% drop. This crash had a global impact and is still considered a significant historical event. Similarly, a black swan event can affect your job, business, life, and country. A black swan can be either positive or negative. For instance, getting a big break in your career or discovering a gold mine are examples of positive black swan events. Conversely, a massive meteorite impact on Earth would be an example of a negative black swan event. There are many things we know, known facts, things we know we don't know, known unknowns, and things we don't know that we don't know, unknown unknowns. Known facts are straightforward, like general knowledge. Known unknowns are questions such as, how big is the universe? Is the internet making us smarter or dumber? There's a chance we might find answers to these questions in the future, but unknown unknowns are different. For example, 2 centuries ago, no one could have predicted that social media would dominate our lives. So why do we need to know about black swans? Because they have become increasingly important in recent years. We plan for the future, but that doesn't fully prepare us for black swan events. Additionally, our brains evolved to help us hunt and gather. Our Stone Age ancestors didn't encounter anything extraordinary. They simply chased deer, which could be fast or slow, fat or thin. Predicting and learning from what they saw was easy. But today's modern world is different. Our brains can't keep up with technological progress. Many people have experienced black swan events and become millionaires. Examples include J.K. Rowling, Larry Page, and Usain Bolt, who achieved great success and wealth through a breakthrough. This has only become possible in recent years. So how can we benefit from knowledge of black swans? Put yourself in situations where you have the potential for a positive black swan. Successful businessmen, artists, and investors often have more opportunities because, at some point, many people come to appreciate their products. On the other hand, employees, journalists, or dentists who sell their time have fewer opportunities because their big break never comes. Generally, You can protect yourself from negative black swans by staying out of debt, saving money, and investing cautiously. Save money whether you get a big break or not. Social proof. Imagine you are on your way to a concert. On the way, you see a crowd of people looking up at the sky. Naturally, you want to know what's happening, so you also look up at the sky. This is called social proof. At the concert, the solo performer shows extraordinary skill. Someone in the audience starts clapping, and soon everyone else, including you, joins in. This is also social proof. After the concert ends, you go to the counter to collect your coat. You see some people tipping the staff, even though the service charge was included in the concert ticket price. Due to social proof, you also end up tipping the staff. Social proof can also be called herd mentality. It occurs when people follow others, believing that what they are doing is correct. When many people do something or believe in something, it is assumed to be the right behavior or idea. People mimic others without thinking. Fashion, food, and trends are driven by social proof. However, it can also have negative effects, such as when people panic in the stock market or commit mass suicide in the name of religion. In the 1950s, famous psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a simple experiment demonstrating how peer pressure can distort common sense. A participant was given a piece of paper with 4 lines drawn on it. The task was to select the line that matched the height of the original line. Line A was shorter, line B was longer, and line C was the same height as the original line. When the participant was alone in the test room, they always chose the correct answer, finding the task easy. However, the psychologist then hired 5 actors to participate in the test with the participant. The actors were instructed to choose line A as the answer. After hearing their responses, the participant became confused and chose the wrong answer 33% of the time, influenced by the actors who incorrectly chose line A over line C. Why does social proof have such a profound impact on us? It was a good survival strategy for our ancestors. Imagine that 50,000 years ago you were hunting on the Serengeti plains with others. Suddenly, everyone starts running and hides behind bushes. What would you do? Would you stop to think whether they saw a lion or an animal to hunt? No. You would immediately follow the group. Act first, think later. In those times, anyone who behaved differently likely didn't survive. You are a descendant of those Homo sapiens who mimicked others and survived. Thus, social proof is deeply ingrained in us. We still use it, even when it doesn't help in our lives. Businesses, governments, and leaders often exploit our weakness for social proof. Comedy and talk shows play recorded laughter during punchlines to encourage people to laugh. Another famous example of social proof is when Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels gave a speech in 1943. You can find a video clip of it online. Germany was losing the war, and the Nazis were urging people to fight. Joseph asked, "Do you want a total war? Do you want a war more extreme than anything ever seen?" The crowd roared in agreement. If individuals had been asked this question separately, few would have agreed to such a crazy idea. Therefore, be cautious about following the majority. Think for yourself. Make decisions based on your knowledge and intuition. Sunk cost fallacy. One night, writer Rolf Dobelli and his wife were watching a movie in a theater. Halfway through the film, Rolf suggested they should go home because the movie was boring. However, his wife insisted that they shouldn't waste the $30 they spent on tickets. Rolf responded, "No, that money is already sunk. We've already spent it on the tickets, so it doesn't matter whether we watch the movie or not." His wife looked at him as if he were crazy. Ultimately, she won, and Rolf had to sit through the rest of the movie. The next morning, Rolf attended a marketing meeting. The team had started an advertising campaign 4 months earlier, but it hadn't yielded any benefits so far. Rolf was among those who wanted to shut down the campaign, but the advertising manager insisted they had invested too much money to abandon it midway. This is an example of falling victim to the sunk cost fallacy. Rolf had a friend who had been in a toxic relationship for many years. The girl repeatedly cheated on him, apologized, and promised never to do it again. His friend confided in Rolf that he had invested so much in the relationship that it was neither easy nor right to walk away. The sunk cost fallacy occurs when we invest a significant amount of time, energy, money, or love into something. This investment keeps us tied to it, even when we've already lost a lot. The more we invest, the stronger our desire to continue becomes. Investors often fall prey to this fallacy. When they buy stocks, they tend to focus only on the current price, which is a mistake. They should consider both the current and future potential prices of the stock. Investors shouldn't hold on to their stocks just because they spent a lot of money buying them. If the stock is no longer expected to perform well, they should sell it and buy better performing shares. This way, they can avoid greater losses and seize better opportunities. The sunk cost fallacy depends on our need for stability and our desire to be trustworthy. We don't want to negate our previous decisions or admit our mistakes. Instead of facing the truth, we pretend that everything is fine. For example, the Concorde was a supersonic aircraft project developed by the UK and French governments. Both governments realized that the project might never be successful, but they continued to invest money to save face. Shutting down the Concorde project would have meant admitting their mistake. The U.S. made a similar error during the Vietnam War. Despite it becoming clear that America was losing, they continued to fight. They had invested so much in the war that they couldn't bear to accept defeat. Now it's your turn to reflect. Do you think you've invested a lot of time, energy, money, and attention into something that isn't working anymore? Don't focus on how much you've already invested. Instead, if you can let it go, do so, and think about the future. Holding on to it will only lead to more losses and missed opportunities for better things. Reciprocity. Have you ever encountered a situation at an airport or railway station where members of a religious sect approached you? They try to give you flowers or some other items, telling you that it's a gift or free. You might want to refuse and walk away, but you can't, and you end up accepting their item. Later, you see another member of the sect asking for a donation. This concept is called reciprocity, which means mutual exchange. It is the secret behind the success of many campaigns and sales techniques. A person does not want to feel indebted to another and wants to return the favor. This is why some individuals or groups use this technique to give things away for free, hoping that in return you will do something for them. NGOs and charity organizations often apply the principle of reciprocity. For example, an environmental organization might distribute beautiful postcards. They send these with a letter stating that the postcard is a gift, and you can keep it even if you don't want to make a donation to the organization. Even if you know it's their strategy, you still won't be able to throw the postcard in the trash. You could consider reciprocity a form of gentle blackmail or mild corruption. For example, a sales agent invites you to a free program and tells you that there's no pressure to buy their products, so you don't need to purchase anything. But after hearing this, you might feel inclined to order something. The sales agent will make you feel as if you owe them, and buying what they are selling is a way to repay that feeling. The technique of reciprocity has been around since ancient times. Our ancestors used it for survival. In those times, there was no guarantee of getting food every day. Imagine that one day you are lucky enough to hunt a large deer. You can't eat the whole deer in one day, so you share some of it with your companions. In return, the next time your companions catch a large animal, they will share it with you. Apart from being a survival technique, reciprocity also works as risk management. Reciprocity becomes the key to cooperation between humans who are not related to each other. It is needed for business, making money, and growth. Without reciprocity and exchange, there would be no concept of a global economy. This is the positive side of reciprocity. However, manipulation and the desire for revenge are the negative sides. Two opposing sides will keep fighting until one decides to back down. This concept shows the feeling of revenge. Now that you know about reciprocity, next time someone tries to give you something for free, understand that they want something from you in return. Envy. Which situation would make you feel the worst? A. Your friend gets a salary raise, but yours stays the same. B. Both you and your friend's salaries remain unchanged. C. Both you and your friend's salaries are cut by 10%. If your answer is situation A, don't worry, you're experiencing envy just like many others. Envy is a normal emotion that is part of human nature. There is an old story that goes like this. A farmer finds a magical lamp. When he rubs it, a genie appears. The genie says he will grant the farmer one wish. The farmer thinks for a while and then says, "My friend has a cow, but I don't, so I wish that his cow would die." Sounds strange, right? But you might have been in a similar situation at some point. For example, if your colleague gets a big bonus and you only get a gift check, you would likely feel envious. You might start avoiding that colleague, refuse to help them, or disagree with their suggestions. You might even wish that something bad happens to them. Envy is a foolish emotion. Unlike anger or sadness, it is easier to switch off. Feeling envious won't get you anything. You can envy someone's money, status, beauty, talent, or success, but it will only make you unhappy and waste your time. Envy and jealousy are often considered the same, but there is a difference. Envy is driven by a desire for something, while jealousy is driven by a fear of losing something. Envy occurs between two people, while jealousy involves three. For example, Josh feels jealous of Sam because the pretty girl next door gives Sam more attention. We typically feel envy towards people who are similar to us in age, career, and status. We don't envy someone who started their entrepreneurial journey years ago. We don't feel envy toward animals or plants. We don't envy millionaires in another country, but we do envy the millionaire living in our city. We feel envy toward successful people with a background similar to ours. If you're a CEO, you will envy another wealthy CEO. If you're a supermodel, you will envy a more famous supermodel. As Aristotle said, a potter envies another potter. This brings us to a practical mistake. Imagine your startup becomes successful, and you move from a crowded neighborhood in New York to the Upper East Side. For a few months, you enjoy your money and status. Your friends are impressed by your new address and achievements. But soon, you realize that many people in the Upper East Side have better apartments than yours. Among your new friends, you're the poorest. Things you never cared about before, like luxury items and club memberships, start bothering you. So, how can you control envy? First, stop comparing yourself to others. Second, find your unique abilities, an area where you excel. It doesn't matter how small this area is. What's important is that you are the best at it. Envy, like all emotions, has roots in our ancestors. Imagine if your neighbor in the next cave took a larger share of an animal and gave you a smaller piece. You would feel envious and vow to hunt a bigger animal next time to claim a larger share. Early humans who didn't care much or weren't motivated to work harder eventually faded away. We are descendants of those envious Homo sapiens. However, in the modern world, envy is no longer necessary for survival. If your coworker buys a Porsche, it doesn't mean they took something from you. Remember, don't envy anyone. Instead, envy the person you dream of becoming and strive to reach that level. The Paradox of Choice. Once, Rolf Dobelli conducted research at his local grocery store. He observed that there were 134 types of wine, 48 varieties of yogurt, 64 different cleaning products, and approximately 30,000 different items for sale. This proves that people today have many options, including thousands of careers, hundreds of mental disorders, and countless vacation spots. In history, humans never had so many options. When Rolf was young, there were only 3 types of yogurt, 2 TV channels, 2 types of cheese, and a telephone service operated by Swiss Post. Telephones were used only for calling, and people were satisfied with that. On the contrary, if you visit a phone store today, you will find countless brands, models, and services. Having more options is now considered a standard of progress. It distinguishes us from our Stone Age ancestors. Yes, having more options is exciting, but only to a certain extent. When there are too many options, it can degrade the quality of our lives. This concept is called the paradox of choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz explains this in his book, The Paradox of Choice. Essentially, having too many options can numb the mind. A supermarket once conducted an experiment. They set up a stall where customers could sample jelly for free. There were a total of 24 types of jelly, and customers could taste as many as they wanted and then buy them at a discount. The next day, the supermarket owner repeated the experiment, but displayed only 6 flavors of jelly. What was the result? More people bought jelly on the second day. On the first day, people found it difficult to choose from 24 different types of jelly, so they didn't buy anything. The supermarket owner tried the same experiment with other products and got the same result. More products were sold when there were fewer options. Another reason for the paradox of choice is that having too many options often leads to poor decisions. For example, if you ask college students what qualities they want in a life partner, they might mention common qualities like kindness, intelligence, and a good sense of humor. But do college students actually think about these qualities when dating? Many years ago, an average young man in a village could choose a partner from among the 20 girls he grew up with. They knew each other's families and backgrounds well. Here, the young man's decision was based on common positive qualities. Today, young people have options, like online dating, where they can choose from millions of people, but with so many options, it becomes difficult to choose just one. Thus, their brains limit their decision-making criteria to physical appearance. A third reason for the paradox of choice is that having too many options leads to dissatisfaction. For example, if you want to buy new shoes and the store has 200 varieties, how can you be sure you are choosing the best pair? The answer is, you can't. The more options you have, the more confused and dissatisfied you will be. So, what is the solution to this problem? The solution is to carefully think about what you like before going to a store or searching online. Make a list of your criteria and stick to it. Also, accept that you will never be able to make a perfect decision. Learn to be happy and satisfied with what you choose. This also applies to finding a life partner. You will never find the perfect person, so learn to accept and love the person you choose, including their flaws. Chauffeur knowledge. In 1981, Max Planck was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics and embarked on a tour across Germany. Everywhere he went, he gave lectures on quantum mechanics, delivering the same lecture every time. His driver, accompanying him on this tour, soon memorized every word of the lecture. One day, the driver had a brilliant idea. He said to Planck, "Aren't you bored of giving the same lecture over and over, Professor Planck? How about I give the lecture in Munich this time? You can sit in the front row wearing my driver's cap, and I'll pretend to be you so you can take a break." Planck found the idea amusing and agreed. That evening in Munich, the driver delivered a lengthy lecture on quantum mechanics, and no one noticed anything amiss. Later, a physics professor from the audience stood up and asked a question. The driver replied, "I never thought someone from a modern city like Munich would ask such a simple question. My driver will answer that." And of course, Max Planck, disguised as the driver, provided the answer. Knowledge comes in two forms. The first is real knowledge. This belongs to those who dedicate significant time and effort to studying a topic thoroughly. The second is chauffeur knowledge. This is when someone studies a topic superficially just to impress others or appear knowledgeable. People with chauffeur knowledge present themselves well, with a confident voice and good appearance, but their understanding is shallow, often reciting from a script. Unfortunately, we are often misled by chauffeur knowledge. News anchors and some journalists are prime examples. News anchors seem well informed about the topics they present, but in reality, they are merely reading a prepared script. They organize panel discussions on subjects they may not fully understand. In contrast, some journalists possess real knowledge gained through years of research. They strive to understand the depth of a topic and the stories of the people involved. However, many journalists still fall into the category of chauffeur knowledge. They write articles based on Google searches and hearsay. Their reports are often biased, superficial, and sarcastic because they lack genuine understanding. To avoid falling prey to chauffeur knowledge, you must be cautious. The difference between a true expert and a charlatan is that experts acknowledge what they don't know. They recognize the limits of their knowledge. If asked a question they can't answer, they will admit, "I don't know." Charlatans, on the other hand, will never say this directly. Instead, they evade the question or use fancy words to cover their ignorance. Liking bias. Rolf Dobelli's friend Kevin once bought 2 expensive bottles of wine. Kevin rarely drank wine, not even the cheap kind, but the salesman was such a nice person who didn't pressure him at all, and Kevin, pleased by this, ended up buying the wine. Meanwhile, Joe Girard is a car salesman, possibly the most successful car salesman in the world. Joe gave all sales agents a remarkable tip. The most effective sales technique is to make the customer believe that you like them and care about them. Joe would send a card to his customers every month that said, "I like you." This concept is called the liking bias. It means that the more we like someone, the more we want to buy from them or help them. Research has shown that we tend to like people who, A, are physically attractive, B, have a similar background, personality, or interests to ours, and C, make us feel liked or valued. The advertising industry uses the first 2 standards. Advertisements often feature attractive people. Those who are not visually appealing are rarely seen in ads, billboards, or magazines, and are usually portrayed as unfriendly or unpleasant. In addition to attractive people, advertisements feature individuals who appear to be like you and me, suggesting they come from similar situations or backgrounds. For example, detergent ads often feature housewives because they are the target audience for the product. Mirroring is another technique used in ads. In this technique, the salesperson mimics the potential customer's words, gestures, and facial expressions. For example, if a customer speaks slowly and scratches their head, the salesperson does the same. This technique makes the customer feel that the salesperson is similar to them, which leads to liking the salesperson and buying the product. Advertisements also use compliments to lure customers with phrases like, "because you're worth it," "you don't look that old," and "that color suits you well." These compliments make us feel that the salesperson likes us, which fulfills the third criterion mentioned above. Multi-level marketing thrives on the liking bias. Take, for example, Tupperware, a $2 billion company. Their high-quality plastic containers are available at 75% less cost in local supermarkets. Yet Tupperware's sales are higher because their sales agents regularly host home parties. Thus, multi-level marketing meets the second and third criteria: similarity and building a friendship with the customer. Non-government organizations also use the liking bias to encourage more donations. They often show pictures of women and children in their campaigns. You rarely see tough-looking or injured soldiers on billboards, even though they, too, need our support. Environmentalists also choose which animals to highlight in their ads. The World Wildlife Fund, WWF, never shows insects, spiders, or bacteria in their brochures, despite these creatures being crucial to our ecosystem. Instead, they use pictures of cute pandas, polar bears, and koalas. The more a creature behaves like a human, the more we like it. Many people love dogs, but very few love insects. When the bone skipper fly species went extinct, no one cared, but we worry about the extinction of emperor penguins. Rolf Dobelli had a friend named David, who was an oil pump dealer. David once closed a $10 million deal for a pipeline abroad. Rolf teased his friend, suggesting he must have bought the deal with bribes, but that wasn't the case. During a meeting, David and his client started talking about sailing. They discovered they both loved sailing, and their business meeting quickly turned into a discussion about sailing. From that moment, the client liked David, and they became good friends, leading to David getting the deal. If you're a sales agent, compliment your customers. Think positively about them. If you're a customer, focus on whether the product is good for you. Pay less attention to the salesperson. Conclusion. First, you learned about the black swan. This concept relates to rare and unpredictable events. By saving money, staying out of debt, and being a vigilant investor, you can avoid negative black swan events. Second, you learned about social proof. This occurs when people follow the behavior of the majority. To avoid falling into this trap, take some time to think for yourself before making decisions. Third, you learned about the sunk cost fallacy. This refers to the mistake of continuing to invest in something because you've already invested so much, even when it's no longer beneficial. Focus on the potential future losses rather than past investments. Fourth, you learned about reciprocity. This is the process of giving and receiving. Reciprocity has its benefits and drawbacks. Be cautious of people who give you things for free or do favors without asking, because they likely expect something in return. Fifth, you understood envy. It is a normal but foolish emotion. Never compare yourself to others. Focus on your skills and keep improving them. Sixth, you learned about the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder and more stressful it becomes to choose. The solution is to think carefully about what you want and be satisfied with your choice. Seventh, you learned about chauffeur knowledge. Many people pretend to be experts. Don't be misled by such people. True experts admit when they don't know something, while pretenders never do. Finally, you learned about the liking bias. We have 3 standards for liking people: physical attractiveness, similarity to us, and feeling liked by them. Sales agents, politicians, and advertisers use these standards. Therefore, choose products based on their performance, not the person selling them. Cognitive errors mean not thinking clearly. Surprisingly, we think and behave illogically in certain patterns. Psychologists have been studying this for years. Now that you are aware of many cognitive errors, you can avoid them. We cannot completely eliminate them because, as we've learned, cognitive errors developed as part of our survival mechanism. However, by being aware of their impact, we can make more logical decisions in our personal lives, careers, and organizations. By doing so, we can save ourselves from the troubles and illogical thoughts and decisions we create. You've now journeyed through the fascinating insights of The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dobelli. From understanding the unpredictable nature of black swan events and the influence of social proof, to recognizing the traps of sunk cost fallacy and the subtle power of reciprocity, you've gained valuable knowledge on how to navigate the complexities of human thought. You've also learned about the pitfalls of envy, the overwhelming paradox of choice, the deception of chauffeur knowledge, and the profound impact of liking bias. Each of these cognitive errors can cloud our judgment and lead us astray. But with awareness and understanding, you can avoid these mental traps. Remember, cognitive errors are a part of our evolutionary makeup, but by being mindful of their impact, you can make more logical and informed decisions in your personal life, career, and organizations. This awareness will help you protect yourself from self-inflicted troubles and irrational thoughts. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary. We hope it has provided you with the tools to think more clearly and make better decisions. For more insightful summaries, check out the other content on our channel. We regularly upload summaries of a wide range of books, all available for free. Keep exploring and enriching your mind with us.